Welcome to the American Contractor Show, the show that's all about American contractors living the American dream. I'm your host, John Dye. Each episode will introduce you to contractors just like you who have beaten the odds and leveled up their game to become the dominant force in their markets. Together, we'll explore the tools and tactics that unlock the secrets to their success. Join me as we begin the journey that leads to the realization of your American dream. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the American Contractor Show. I am your host, John Dye. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's absolutely always an honor to be with you guys and to hopefully share some knowledge and share some stuff that can help you guys as contractors, no matter where you are. Today, we've got Graham Desert of Roofing 101, and he's joining us to discuss purpose. And purpose is massively important. No matter where you are in the world of contracting, you could be a purposeful business owner, or you can be a purposeful tradesman, or you could be a purposeful installer. The bottom line is, once you find your purpose, your entire outlook and your outcome will change for the better, and you start to get a real sense of what you should be doing with your life no matter what you're doing. And so it's exciting to have this conversation because I believe that Graham has discovered his purpose, and he's discovered the secret of how that has changed his life and the way that he runs his business, and he's growing one of the largest, fastest growing companies in the nation, going all over the place and just doing awesome stuff. And so I'm so thankful that he has decided to join us today and agreed to be a part of this, because it's going to be a great conversation. But before we start, real quick, I want to let you guys know that I want to make sure you guys checked out Atlas at all lately, because Atlas is continuing to set the bar real high for how manufacturers should partner with their contractors through their Asphalt Life community. Asphalt Life exists to bring you the most valuable information on how you can run a better, leaner business while maximizing your live, roof, play lifestyle. To learn more about Asphalt Life and all the products and all the different information that they have for you guys, go to atlas.com/asphalt life. Great little program they got, and they're killing it with that Asphalt Life motto and everything they got going on, the blogs, the articles, so much great useful information on there. And just to say it, I was currently featured in one of them for supplementing. So if you guys want some good supplementing information, I think I gave away some pretty good secrets on how you guys can better set yourself up for success. Also, by the way, everyone knows the pitfalls that come with when you're hiring a public adjuster. In fact, most contractors cringe when they hear the word public adjuster, because most PAs have little to no experience actually writing an estimate or negotiating a claim, and all they really do is delay the claim and make empty promises. Well, that's not C3 Group. You guys need to check out what these guys are doing, because they are killing it. They've been around for over 9 years, and they really know their stuff. They focus on doing the right things and have the best investigations team out there. The director's even an Xactimate certified trainer, which is really rare in our industry. And if you ever watched any of the C3's commercial roofing training seminars, they're top-notch, amazing sources of information. So quit hiring the guys that just see you as a claims provider and are really good at talking about claims and marketing, and instead call the guys that know what they're doing. Give a C3 Group a call. Go to c3adjusters.com to learn more, and give them a shout, because they're killing it in the claims world. So real quick, guys, we're going to have Graham come in here right now, because I want to get this conversation started. There's a lot that I want to talk about today, and I want to hear from him. And I think this is one of the most valuable conversations we've ever had on the show. So thank you so much for being here, Graham.
You got it. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, man, it's always nice to have someone that shows up with a nice setup and a mic and everything else. It makes the quality so much better for us on the post.
This is not my doing. So, my wife is a musician, and so she comes up here in this room and she records music, and so I just happen to have a mic. So yeah.
That's awesome, dude. I appreciate that a lot, and so thank you so much for doing that. But I wanted to have this conversation about purpose, because we all have moments in our life, and I know you have too, where you find that you're just not being fulfilled in what you're doing. You feel like you have no purpose. It's a grind. You're going to work, but you're not really there. You're lacking that ambition, and I've been there, and it's an awful place to be, and it's usually because I put myself in situations where I really shouldn't be. And I wanted to discuss some of this with you today and some of the pitfalls and, how to find your purpose and some of the stuff that you've learned through this process. Cause I know you've gone through an evolution and just really figured out what works for you.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked. And this is a very, important topic and something that we hold dear. And me personally, I hold dear to my heart. And, it took me a while to actually get this together. But I had some realizations in the last, I'd say, 5 years or so in business that really caused me to think deeply about why I'm doing what I'm doing. And, there's some things that happened, some things that caused it. One of the things was my wife and I decided to move to California from, we were operating our business in Kansas City. We decided to uproot and move. And, what's super important well, let me back up. I mean, we decided to rebrand in that process. And in rebranding, there's this whole new discovery that goes on. And one of the things that we talked about and what I really, really understood was, as contractors, there's a transaction that we're responsible for. And in that transaction, it's like you learn how to, in any business, really, any business, you have to learn how to do a transaction, which is generate a lead, sell the product, produce the service or product, whatever you're doing, and then collect the money and do it over and over again. What happens is we get wrapped up in that transaction process, in that cycle, because that's part of, like, as an entrepreneur, what you have to do. You have to learn the transaction. But what we forget about is the relationship side of things. And that's a whole different ballgame. And so the relationship is, how you treat customers, how you treat people, your partner, your strategic partners, like how all of that works together in those relationships. So if you can master the transaction and the relationship together, that's a big, big key. Through that process, it forced me to really think about, well, what are our priorities as an organization? Because so many companies value themselves from the profit, the bottom line, which is important. You gotta have profit. But some other things that are important are, like we developed the 4 Ps. It's the quadruple bottom line, and you may see it out there on the market, but I came up with the quadruple bottom line, the 4 Ps, and they turned into our priorities in our organization. And the first one is ensuring that you hire the right people, and you take care of people. The second one is acting with purpose, right? And infusing, helping the people in your organization develop a purpose in what they're doing. And then the third one was impacting your community or planet, and then the fourth one was profit. And you have to create profit for, future, for the future of the organization, and certainty and security, and providing for your families and creating opportunity for other people. But purpose was one of those priorities. We found that was a key to success.
Yeah, and that's in the way that you've structured that, though, I think is really purposeful. And it's also really it's unique in our space, because I think a lot of sales reps go into this organization, or people get hired in as a sales rep, and there is no purpose behind the organization. There is no real structure behind it, other than what the owners have kind of set up, or whoever's running the show, basically, or whatever the sales rep brings to their own table. They're basically taught to be their own independent rep and build your own systems that work for you and just sell our product. And I feel like you get lost in that world where you don't really have an identity in your business. The company you're working with, that you've partnered with, that you decided to be a part of, doesn't have that.
Right. Yeah.
What drove you guys to create this?
Well, one was I felt like, number one, the goal is to grow the company. And so to grow the company, I knew we had to form an identity. And through the identity process, we realized that we're just so wrapped up in the transaction that we're not even thinking about relationship. And so then through understanding relationship, it made me realize that, a lot of businesses don't really focus on the personal life of an individual, like the individual personal life. They're so focused on, quote unquote, grinding it or quote unquote slaying it and bringing in money, that they forget about, things going on at home, or they forget about their personal life and, stuff like that. So it's like, I started to understand that what goes on at work really does impact, your personal life, and what goes on personally impacts your work life. So you might as well intertwine them. So we decided, we took a hard stand. You know what? We're going to help people start to develop and define what their purpose is here. Because the thing is we're all very, very unique. You look at the statistics, and
right.
You guys may have heard this before, but there's 6 point whatever billion people on the planet. That's a lot of people. And everybody's DNA is so unique. You have a fingerprint, that nobody else in the world has, and so you look at the human body and everything on the earth and how it was created, and it's just so unique and specific. And if it's that unique and specific, if you are designed that specific and your DNA is, no one else has it in the planet, then, there's a reason for you to be here. And there's a purpose for you here. And it might be, working, as a contractor, or it might not. And so that pursuit of the purpose and really trying to understand what it is I think is super important. So we work on that with our people, and we do that through actually helping them develop vision, and that's my main responsibility is visionary officer is the vision of the organization and the vision of the people.
Yeah, I love that you call yourself the chief visionary officer for your company, because that should be what every CEO really is. That's what that job is. Let me ask you this though: what was it like before you guys had all this in place? Were you always like a purposeful person that had this type of drive?
I think so. Yeah. I was trying to think of a moment. I'm like, man, well, where did this come up? And I remember I was 24 years old. I was interviewing for a job. I started my first business when I was 20, ran it, then, did really well with it, and then decided to shut that down and go work for this franchise organization. And in that interview, I remember the president that's who I interviewed with. He asked me, he's like, so what's your purpose in life? And, just in a moment answered it. And it was do for others what they can't do for themselves. And I've never heard that before, wow. But it was something that was deep in my heart that I just expressed. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So that stayed with me, throughout my time of actually putting the identity on paper. Right. And there's because I'm still living it, that's my identity. I help people, I do for others what they can't do for themselves. Right. So I'm a servant leader, and it really came out when we actually sat down and went through the process of developing the brand and the identity. So I guess the question is, what was it like? It's always been a good organization. I worked hard. The business grew and grew every year. And, it got to a point where, I just thought there was something more, like I was like, man, there's gotta be something more than, a seasonal business. I've got to get some more fulfillment. And and don't get me wrong, it was fulfilling, and it is fulfilling. But I actually wanted to define what was fulfilling about it, So that's, I guess, hopefully,
yeah, and that's
the question.
No, it helps because I'm just thinking of like a contractor that right now he's running his business. He's seeing guys like you. He's seeing these businesses growing. Maybe he's just a tradesman, but I'm just saying like, and they don't really have that really solid definition of what their real purpose is. Right. Because I've seen it time and time again. I've been there. Other people have been there where you're just like, man, I'm grinding. I'm just grinding right now, and I don't feel the fulfillment that I should be feeling, or I don't see my company being fulfilled the way it should be, or I don't see our business growing the way I see others growing, and they're just stuck in this rut.
Yeah.
Like, how do you find that purpose? Like, what do you have to do to get yourself to like figure that out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So stop being so casual. People get comfortable, and they get on cruise control mode. I'm a contractor. I do multiple millions of dollars in business, and I'm just speaking, but I have a comfortable life. I'm making money. I'm doing well. Why would I change things? And so after a while, you get casual about it. And so the reason why people get casual about it is they don't want to make commitments, and two, maybe you're disappointed, or you're afraid that you're going to be disappointed that if you do make a commitment towards your purpose. But there's a lot of people that know what they're supposed to be doing. They're just afraid to take the steps towards that. Does that make sense? So
absolutely.
Get really casual about it. And I've probably the boldest move that I ever made was moving from Kansas City to California. That was a bold move that we made, and I just felt like we were living a very, very comfortable life. The business was doing very well, but I felt a calling. There was like this voice. You're supposed to be doing something greater. You're supposed to be doing something greater. And my wife and I had a conversation. She was out here on a retreat, and I could hear the happiness and the joy in her voice when she was here in California and I was back in Kansas City. And like a matter of seconds, I was like, forget it, dude. Let's do it. Let's move. And so in that process, that unlocked like a whole bunch of stuff. Like I would not be where I am now without making that decision, and I stopped being casual.
I think people have those feelings sometimes, but they ignore it, or they brush it aside, or they think, this isn't that important. I don't need to listen to that part. Like, hey, in moving across the country, like that's a massive change. And for you to be so, self-aware of that and listen to it and pay attention to it and say, okay, this is what we need to do, and decisive and doing the action behind it, how has it changed anything for you? Like what has the outcome been?
Oh, it's been a massive shift. I mean, massive shift, just massive shift in my marriage, massive shift in a relationship with my kids, massive shift in the business. I brought on partners, which I didn't have partners before. So you start to think differently. If I can do this, I wonder what would happen if I did this. There's this curiosity that goes on. I mean, listen, guys, like we're only here for a short while. If you think about eternity, it's like we're only here for a short while. So while you're here, you might as well just whatever your calling is, you might as well go after it. Whatever your purpose is, you might as well go after it. And I was told this, I heard this last week, actually. A friend of mine, we're out surfing, and we're like, just sitting there waiting on the next set. And he's trying to figure out his purpose. And he's like, I don't know what my purpose is, but I was told that when you don't know your purpose, you go serve somebody that does have their purpose, and yours will get unlocked. You'll figure out yours along the way. And so that's one thing that you can do is go find people that have a clearly defined purpose, and just, what can you do for them? Go serve them, do something for them. I don't know. So that's like that was something that really struck me, and I'm like, man, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that does. And I think that's a great first step, I think, to finding out what you should be doing. Is when you start to give, you figure out where you're most comfortable giving, and that's where you're serving and where you're being a part of stuff. Where you choose to serve is really where you should possibly invest more of your life into. That's great advice, and I think a lot of people miss that part of it.
Yeah, and I heard this yesterday. So there's a guy by the name of Rex Crane. Okay. And if you guys don't know who Rex Crane is, look him up. He's out of the LA area. He works with a lot of professional athletes and high level entrepreneurs. But one of the things he talked about was commitment. And around purpose and around your goals and your dreams and things like that, it's the commitment that really gets you there. You have to make a commitment. And the thing is that a commitment is different than your goals and your dreams. And what's different about it is when you make a commitment, you're actually making a promise that you're contending for something. You're going to fight for something. And when you contend and fight for something, it doesn't matter what gets in the way. You're going after it. And so you may not know what your purpose is or what your calling is, but when you make a commitment towards figuring it out, you start to fight for it, and things start to shift mentally, and professionally, things will start to shift.
Yeah. And Graham, tell me a little bit about how that purpose now has evolved over time. So I'm sure it's changed and it's become more and more evident and clear the more that you've gone down this journey.
Yeah. So, I think about like my vision board and things that I put on my vision board, because I think that's really important. And that actually is an exercise that helps you define, purpose, and it'll help you refine it too. And so I go back to my vision board and the things that I have on there, it's all things that are really important to me. But it's really around like legacy, and legacy to me is not necessarily like, what you leave behind, but what you leave in people, And so one of the things that's really, really important to me, and it's important, guys, like if you're creating a vision and you're creating purpose and things that you're going after, you have to speak it. Speak it out, because your words actually give life to, your goals. You just tell people your goals, tell them your purpose. So one of the things, how it's evolved is, my job here is to influence over $1 billion in generosity. That's my job. And the money doesn't have to come from my pocket, but I can influence other people to give and be generous. And ultimately what that does is, when you're generous like that, think about it's like giving gifts, and you can give gifts through money, you can give gifts through time, you can give gifts through other resources. But as you start to give, it unlocks other people to do the same thing, and ultimately that is an act that could potentially change the world, and that's ultimately, to me, that's why I'm here, make the world a better place to live.
Graham, that's all awesome. Like, you guys are killing it, bro. And I totally believe that, because of the fact that you have found your purpose as the chief visionary officer, and you've mirrored that into your entire business. Like, you guys are experiencing pretty amazing success. You guys are in how many cities now across the nation?
I believe we are in 12 markets. Yeah, we're licensed in 20.
I love when you start with "I believe."
Yeah,
because you're just like, I think we're like in 12, maybe 13. I don't know.
Because it changes like every couple of weeks. And so we have an executive meeting, which, by the way, if you guys want tips on how to run an organization, the book Traction is a really good book. The EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System, is really good. So we have an executive meeting every Tuesday morning, and in the Tuesday morning we get the market update and or the licensing update. So we're licensed in 20 states, operating in 12, and let's see. Yeah, I mean, we're planning on opening up a couple markets in the fourth quarter. So, yep.
And that's awesome, dude. And kudos to you guys. I don't believe that you guys could have this measure of success without the purpose and without your vision involved in here and setting the path for what the identity is of the business, what you guys' main mission is, and what you guys are doing. So I'm so excited for you and thankful that you were gracious enough to be with us today and spend a little bit of time helping other new owners or people in the trades and business owners, GCs, and helping them see that, this is one of the most vital, important parts of their business. Without this,
absolutely,
you're just another contractor.
Absolutely. And there's another.
And so putting that together.
Yeah, and there's another story around that, and I'll be quick on this, but you asked it before, and the story just came up. But I worked in the Denver market for a number of years, probably 3 years, and we decided to, or I made the decision to demote the leader and move him from the actual general manager to a sales rep, and I was going to take over the operations of the branch. He decided to go his own way and start his own company, which he's done a phenomenal job. He's still a dear friend of mine, and in that process, it's like we had probably about a dozen employees in that market, and which he recruited, he built, and he led. So in the demotion, what ended up happening is now everybody around him, since he left, they decided to leave one by one over the course of 3 to 4 months. And so then what happened was, I was like, man, this is crazy. Like I never thought this would happen. It really blindsided me, and I took it. I took it to heart, and it really made me think about there has to be something more for people to work in a place besides the leader. Right? There has to be a developed vision. There has to be a mission. There has to be clear values. There has to be priorities and how decisions are made. All of that stuff together, you can take the leader out, and the people will lift up that foundation and be like, this is what we're working for. We believe in this. You know what I mean? And so that was a big lesson that I learned. And that's really, like, when I look back, that is the one thing that really kicked it off. And the second thing was, I know we're going to expand and move to California, so we really have to get the identity of the company together. Yeah. Yeah.
Because having that identity, though, allows you to scale a lot quicker and to move forward. So, dude, I think it makes so much sense. And you're right. I think this has been one of the most impactful conversations I think that we've had, as far as giving people something to strive for. If you don't have a purpose in your business, you've got to do this. You've got to make sure that you're doing these things and starting to build this, especially if you want to have any form of impact on the future of your business, on your future, on your family's future, on the business, or your professional. If you want to have an impact in this life and leave a legacy, it starts right here. This is the first step.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And you know what? Stop being casual. Don't settle on an average life. You're not supposed to be here and be average. How you show up matters. What standards are you living by, and find some sort of uncommon accountability, and don't settle a life that will put you to hurt.
Dude, that's awesome. Graham, thank you so much for being with us today, man. I know that there's a lot of contractors that are going to watch this and are watching this right now and are just thinking, man, this is impactful stuff. And so thank you so much for being on the show today.
You're welcome, John. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, folks, that was Graham Desert. And I know that this type of conversation isn't necessarily for everyone. In fact, it's really for those that are growth-minded, trying to scale, trying to find the next level. And if that's you, I encourage you to go back and listen to this again. Find other resources, start to open your mind, start to think of what your purpose is, put it on paper, figure out what your mission statements are, what you're trying to achieve, what your identity is. And it's more than just branding and marketing. This is like what your business's real purpose is, what your purpose is. I will tell you this, I spent a lot of time doing things that were outside of my purpose, and finding my purpose has been one of the most fulfilling things. And I've been slowly getting there. And it's been one of the most incredible things to watch, as it has transformed so many areas of my life. And it's certain to transform yours as well. If you're struggling, if you're wondering what you're going to do next, if you're having these just straight up depressing moments of just being stuck in a grind, figure out what your purpose is, and I guarantee you it will change your outlook on everything. And needless to say, it may not be in contracting, or it might be in contracting. Whatever that may be, find that, and you'll find your actual reason for what you should be doing in this life. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope this was good today. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't, or like the page, follow us. We do this twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I can't wait to be with you guys on Thursday. It's going to be a phenomenal episode. We got some really cool stuff coming up here in the next few weeks too that I think is going to bring a little more clarity to what American Contractor Show is really all about and what we're trying to achieve. So be sure to reach out. If you guys want us to discuss certain things, shoot us messages. Feel free to comment below in any of the comment areas. We pay attention to that stuff. We want feedback from you guys, and we want to know what you guys want to know. So check us out. We appreciate you for being here today, and thanks for watching. Thanks so much for watching today's show. Make sure to like and subscribe our pages so that you can stay up to date with every episode. And by the way, this show is all about you, the American Contractor. Be sure to comment, let us know what you want to hear about and what subjects you want us to touch on. We'll be sure to include them in a future episode. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great day.